Okay, so the next example is a bit more challenging. You are making monthly payment instead of annual payment. However, the interest rate is counted as an annual rate. So this practice says if you can afford a $400 monthly car payment, what kind of car can you afford if interest rate are 7% on 36-month loans? Well, as I said in the previous practice, um, what you need to figure out first is what factors you are solving for. So basically it asks you to solve for what kind of cars can you afford. Alright, so you want to know whether you can afford a BMW 7 Series or you can afford a second-hand Kia Spectra. The price would vary a lot depending on the car you choose. Okay, so do you have a $5,000 or you have a $500,000 to buy a car is really what you are trying to decide. And whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, it depends on your affordability. You can make $400 car payment each month, so basically that determines what kind of price range you can get for the car you want to buy. Okay, so it's asking you to solve for present value. Okay, so it's asking you to solve for present value. So you get the loan, you get a car loan today, and then you are paying it off with a $400 each month for the next 3 years. Okay, so that's your monthly payment, and you have 36 months to make the payments, and 7% is your annual interest rate. And you can see the inconsistency here. The interest rate is on an annual term, whereas the payment and the period are in monthly term. Okay, so what you need to do is to make sure they are on the same page. You can convert the annual rate to a monthly rate by dividing the rate by 12. Okay, and then you put your numbers. So the payment is negative $400. You make zero future payment in addition to this annual monthly payment. Okay, and your interest would be put as 7 divided by 12, which is 0.5833, and then you solve for present value. Okay, so that's basically your answer. Alright, and the very important thing here is you want to make sure I and payment are all aligned on the same page. They are all at monthly level. Okay, this is what the textbook tells you. Okay, that's based on the textbook. All right, so if you get to the calculator. All right, so let me clear what I had before. So you can use a 36 as the number of months. The rate is 7% per year divided by 12. Okay, and then that just compute automatically for you. You solve for present value, leave it at 0, and you are going to make a $400 payment. Okay, so that's a negative 0 future. Oops, 0 future. And the payment is made at the end of each period, and then you move back to solve for the present value. Okay, alpha, enter. Okay, so that's your present value. So present value equals to roughly $13,000. So that's how much the price of car you can afford. All right, if you buy a second-hand car, that's gonna be a pretty good car. Alright, so as I said, this is based on the textbook, which make the NI and the payment all at monthly level. In the manual of this model of Texas Instrument calculator, okay, there's a different method to do it. Alright, I don't want to confuse you. If you don't want to learn this additional skill, you just skip this part. Okay. So the second method based on the calculator's manual is instead of divide the interest by 12, you leave it as 7, which is at the annual level. Okay, and what you need to edit here is a PY and a CY. PY is for number of payments in a year, and the CY is number of periods in a year. So how many payments do you need to make in a year? That's going to be 12 because you're making monthly payment. If you do that, then the CY would automatically adjust. You see, I just hit enter right here. So 12, and then this would be 12 also. These two always are same number. I don't think they should put the two separate terms if they are always the same. Alright, anyways, so you see 7 is put here. You don't divide 7 by 12 at the interest rate position. Instead, you put a 12 right here, and then you move back. Okay, you solve for the present value. Then you get the same answer. So that's a different method. As I said, you only need to know one of the two methods. If you know both, that's definitely a plus. It's really your call. Alright, so let's move back to my practice. And here's another one. Alright, this is my favorite. So assume that you just graduated and get a good paid job. So you want to buy a new car, a BMW 580 28i sedan, and the price after you build all the features in is $54,125. Alright, so what I want you to verify is this a monthly payment. Okay, you are going to make $793 each month to finance this car loan. Okay, so that's your option. You are going to make a $10,000 down payment. Alright, and then you have a 60 months to finance the car, and your annual rate is 3%. Okay, so you are going to solve for payment as I want you to verify this payment number. Okay, so you turn on your calculator again. So you're gonna define all the numbers here. So let me do this. So, oops. So what do you need to put for n? That's the easy one. So you can put n as a 60. Alright, you have 60 months. And I, 3%. So just to be consistent with the textbook method, I want to divide the 3% by 12 to get the monthly rate. Okay, to get the monthly rate. And then present value. Well, the thing is, what is the money you are getting from the bank or the financial institution you're borrowing money from? This could be a third-party bank, or it could be the finance department of a BMW headquartered in Germany. So anyways, you are building a financial relationship with this party. So how much money do you borrow from? Well, you know the car cost you $54,000 and you are making $10,000 down payment. So your amount to finance is the price of the car, okay, 54125 minus the down payment you make. Okay, that's how much money you need to borrow, right? So you in order to buy the car, you have to borrow $44,000 in addition to the down payment, and then you move down. All right, so that's the present value, and then you solve for payment. And if you have already divided your annual interest rate by 12, you need to recover the setting for number of periods and the number of payments, and then you get back. All right, you solve for payment. All right, so alpha, enter. So that's a negative $793 if you round it, which is consistent with the answer computed by the BMW's website. A different method here, you use a 3 here for the annual rate, and then divided by, and everything else will be the same except the number of periods and payment are all both 12, and then you move back, you solve, you will get the same answer. Okay, you see, it's the same answer. If I put 0, alpha, so it's the same answer. Alright, So here, something you need to remember is the amount to finance is the price minus down payment. Okay, and when you estimate the down payment, make sure everything is on a monthly basis. Okay, that's the textbook method. So that's how you solve it. And I know some of you may think, okay, so you have a 5 years and each year you have a 3% rate. What about if I do this? What about if I put n as 5, 3% rate, and the present value is the same because I'm borrowing the same amount of money to finance the car, alright, and then I get a payment directly. So if you use this setting, 5, 3, same payment, same present value and the same future value, you get this payment. You say, okay, this is my annual payment, so I divide it by 12 to get $803, so that's my monthly payment. Well, I have to say this method, okay, this way to solve payment is wrong, okay, because you cannot divide this 9600 by 12. So if you divide that, basically you are treating each of the payment as the same during the year. Okay, so the January payment is the same as December payment. The March payment is the same as September's payment. Okay. However, as we have learned in this chapter, a dollar today is different than a dollar in the future. So one payment, $800 in January is different than $800 in December, and $800 in March is definitely worth more than $800 in September. Okay, so we cannot just simply divide an annual amount by number of by 12, the number of months in a year. Okay, but we can always divide the annual interest rate by 12 to get a monthly rate. That's no problem. All right. So next we move to this exercise, which is very similar to your homework questions. Okay, so let me just put in here and make it full screen. Okay, and then I zoom a little bit. Alright, so if you can finish this question, you should have no problem with your assignment number 1 for the time value of money chapter. Okay, so it asks you, okay, number 1, a car dealer offers either 0% financing for 3 years or a $5,000 rebate on a $29,000 car, assuming that you could find a loan for 4% for 36 months, which deal gives you a smaller payment. Okay, so you have 2 options: 0% financing and a $5,000 rebate. These are both pretty good. Okay, so one you pay no interest, and another you get a $5,000 instant mark off of the price. Okay, so basically instead of paying $29,000, you're paying $24,000 car. But in order to get that option, you have to find a car loan. Okay, and you pay interest. So 0 interest here, but no price mark off here, and $5,000 off here, but no, but you still pay interest. Okay, so which would give you smaller payment. So if you use your calculator, okay, it's right here. Let me do this. So if you have a 0 interest, so let me just put a 0 here, and you are going to finance it for 3 years. So you're going to have 3 times 12, so that's going to give you 36 months. Alright, and then your car is going to be $29,000. You are going to borrow you are going to finance $29,000. Okay, and then you try to solve for the payment, and after you and you can recoup the setting of a P1 and CY as 1. Alright, so the payment is alpha, enter. Okay, so that's $805. Okay, $805. If you choose 0% financing, each month you pay $805. Okay, so what about the second option? The second option is a $5,000 rebate, but you have to pay interest. You have to pay a 4% interest for 3 years. So it's the same number period, but 4 will be divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, and you are not financing $29,000. You are only financing $29,000 minus $5,000, so you get $24,000. Okay, that's how much you are financing. All right, and then you solve for payment. All others will be the same. Okay, so that's $708. Okay, so one is $805, one is $708. So definitely you go with a smaller payment. Okay, that's a better option. So you should choose a $5,000 rebate. All right, so that's your answer for this one. If you take a look at your homework, is the first question I think is structured exactly the same way. So you're gonna go through the same process, and you should have no problem with that. All right. So the next question, you are financing a home mortgage. Please verify the term, principal, and interest based on the provided information. Well, in a different video link, I showed you how to do it. So here, I just go over it very briefly. So this is the house price, $399,000, and you are making 30% down payment, and you have 15 years to finance it, and that's your interest is a 3.138%. Okay, so I want you to verify this principal plus interest, which is 1951. Okay, so on your calculator, you have to make this all numbers correct. So you have 15 years, and each year you have a 12 month. So you have a 180 month in total, and your rate is 3.138, and this will be divided by 12. Okay, and the present value is how much you are financing. It's not the full price of the house, it's the amount of the money you borrow. So how much are you borrowing? You are borrowing the full price, which is sorry, I have to move around, $399. Okay, $399.08. Oh, sorry, 808. All right, and then you are making 30% down payment. So in other words, you are financing the rest of 70%. So you are going to make the full price multiplied by 1 minus 0.3. I'm sorry. I shouldn't hit enter. So I have to start over again for the price. So it's a 399,808. Just say times 0.7. Okay, so times 0.7 means it's a 70% of the full price that you are borrowing. Okay, so you're borrowing 70% of the full price from a bank, and then for payment you move it down. All right, so you can make it 0 to start, and then you hit alpha, so enter. All right, so 1951. That's the answer of this one. Okay, so next question. A credit card charges an annual rate of 24% per month. Suppose that you are financing a $8,000 credit card bill by paying $125 each month. How long will it take to pay off the bill? All right, so the story here, okay, as I said, you always focus on the financial relationship. Okay, you are financing $8,000, so that means you just borrowed $8,000 from a credit card company. You can do it whatever. You can use $8,000 to buy a second-hand car, or buy an Xbox One with 500 games. It's really up to you. All right. So the thing is, you just borrow $8,000. That's cash inflow, and you are going to pay $125 each month in the future. And you want to know how long it will take. So if I do this, so I'm going to solve for n. You know, that's for the time of the payment, and then the interest is 24 per annum, and so 24 divided by 12, that's 2%. Okay, that's 2% each month. Well, you know, a lot of credit card companies in the United States charge over 20% annual rate, so this is a pretty normal. And then present value here is 8,000. I'm going to put a positive 8,000. Okay, so you probably think that if you swipe your credit card, you are paying money to buy stuff, but actually that's an activity. You are borrowing $8,000 from the credit card company or from the bank. All right, and then your payment is 125. So I'm going to make a negative 125. You are making a negative 25 payment. Okay, and then you move back, try to solve for. Oops, what happened? Apps, finance. Don't worry, just recoup it. And I move back and try to solve for it. So my payment is negative 125, and then I move back, try to solve for n. Alright, so if I try to solve for n, then this is what happened. Okay, alpha, enter, I got an error. Okay, I got an error. And if I just get back to my setting, apps, oops, just hit enter, quit, apps, finance. Okay, why I can't have a valid n? Well, one possible error is you put both cash flows in the same sign. Okay, but I did not make that mistake. There's a positive sign here, negative sign here. That's the way it's supposed to be. So what happened is there's no limited time you can pay off your credit card bill. So basically, if you borrow $8,000 today with that interest, you can never pay it off with $125 each month. Does that make sense to you? So you see, $8,000 times 2% monthly rate, that's $160. Okay, so the interest only is $160 per month, and your $125 just cannot pay the interest, not even mentioning the principal. Okay, so that's why I got an error. So now people do me a favor. You can change this at 24% to a lower rate. Let's say, what about if it is a 12% per year instead of a 24%? So if that's the case, I'm going to change I to a 12% each year divided by 12. So that's gonna give me 1% per month. And then I solve for n. Now I can have a valid answer. So n is a 102 month. Okay, so if my monthly rate is 1%, then this $125 payment is good enough to cover the interest and a part of the principal, and eventually my debt will be paid off. Okay, after roughly 9 years or so. All right. So the next question will be addressed later. So let me just stop right here. Control